All right. Our next speaker is Anant Prasad from the County of Santa Clara. Anant is Deputy Director, Road and Signal Operation Divisions in the Roads and the Airports Department of County of Santa Clara. His career spans over 30 years at the county, holding various positions during his tenure. He has a double master's degree from San Jose State University, one in computer science and the other one in civil engineering. With that, I would like to hand it over to Anant.
Thank you, Yoko. Good morning, everyone. So you guys have already had a great day with a lot of good presentations. So today you're going to see from my presentation, you're going to see the user part of it. So like how the application side of things works for end users like us. Like Yoko said, I do manage the roadway operations as well as signal operations for the County of Santa Clara. So as a result of that, we depend on, like as you saw in the presentations earlier, GIS has become very integral part in the county, or the government business. So it's pretty much essential. So we use this tool for pretty much a lot of things. So I'll highlight one or two of them here, so that you may not have seen and how we use that tool. Very simple applications, but it is so much helpful when it comes to how we use this tool and how much time it saves us in the field. So basically three main topics. One is about road slope measurements using the GIS data. We talked about the earlier session, you learned about the LiDAR, how that data is used. So I'm going to show you how we use that data to our advantage so that during road maintenance, how that data will be used. And then we also talk about the main star application. When public sends us a request online, and then, kind of go over what happens to the data, how the GIS is used in identifying correct jurisdiction, and then sending the information to the right people. And then finally, I'll end with, we're also using the GIS for our traffic, to host our traffic cameras online. This is available for public currently. Public are able to use it. And then we put this project online for various reasons. One of them is for the public to see, but I'll also talk about how it was helpful during COVID. With that, let's get started. Let's start with the road slope measurements using the GIS. It is one of the GIS maps that you're looking at. For example, when you have mountain roads, these have steep grade. So we have limitations on road maintenance equipment that actually can use that steep grade. So in order to plan our project, one of the things that we had to do before was, look at our old survey data and then look at the contour maps and, figure out what the grade is and is this something that we could do, and then also depend on historically how our crew was able to use that equipment, was it safe and things like that. But now with the collection of LiDAR data, we have these data available at almost 10 to 30 feet intervals that are superb in terms of planning purposes. So it is one application that I'm showing you where you just need to select a segment of the road, and then you will go to the elevation profiler as part of that, and then you go to the next slide. So you have two options here, to select a line or to draw a profile. So to start off with, we typically start with this, selecting a line. This segment is pretty long, but it's good to start at the bigger segment level because you really want to get to, in this case, we wanted to know where the critical points are and where the steepest grade is. And then we want to go back to our equipment and see what what grades are those equipments rated for. And then in this case, our equipment was not, was not rated for such a high grade. So what we had to do is, get some rental equipment that can handle this steep grade. And then we were able to still complete our project. This was a road maintenance project, but as part of that, you have a lot of equipment, and the key equipment is the roller those are specifically designed for certain grades. In this case, we wanted to find that out. So once you select a segment, in this case, the one that's highlighted here is a segment based on selection of the line. The next slide will actually show you the profile and also tell you where the, what the elevation at each of the point is. If you look at this red dot, as you move the cursor around here, the red dot kind of moves, whether you're going to the left or to the right of this point. So you know exactly where the elevation that you want to find out, what the steep grade is. And then this is, again, we're starting at a segment length, right? So the idea is you could go back to this application, and once you, let's say you figure this out, this is the part that you want to really narrow it down. You could go back to this application and this time draw a profile around it, just a polygon around it, and say, okay, this is the area I want to select. Then the software will give you this option, but it's only going to give you for that small portion where you'll be able to figure out, okay, that is my steepest grade and this is the percentage, and then can our vehicle operate here or not. Based on that, we can make we can call around and see if any rental vehicles are available that can do that type of grade. And luckily we were able to find it, and we were able to get, complete this project. Without having this GIS tool, it could take a long time because we have to look at some old survey data, and then, is the grades over the years have changed, or getting a survey done for a long road section of road like that can be very expensive. So as part of our planning now for all the next year roads, we're already looking at using these tools. We're already looking at, which sections of the road are steeper than our equipment can handle. So we group them all together. So we could probably minimize on the number of days we have to rent, special equipments to complete this project. It gives you the slope, it gives you the elevation. Again, like I said, you can move around on the map to get exact points. And this is using the elevation profiler, using the ESRI's Terrain 3D. And then it comes from the LiDAR data that we collected in 2020. So from the previous speaker, you heard about the LiDAR data. That's the one that we're using. So we get that every 3 years, and so that our map will be most current. This is the map that's showing where the LiDAR data is collected. This highlighted boundary is where we collected. Once you go off into the mountains here, we don't have that yet, but this is generally covers the most of the area that we're working on. So that we were interested in. And then if you have any questions on these, you can go ahead and put it on the chat. I also have Sampa here. And again, these applications, the 3 that I'm going to talk about, is all built within our forces. So there was no contract work. It was all done in-house. I also have technical team here. If there is anything that you would like to know, they can also answer that here in the chat. So then we're moving on to the main star application. Basically, this is an application we developed for collecting the public service requests, basically. So if you go to our countyroads.org, you can click on service request, you land on a page like this, and then you have to just basically put in some basic information about you're trying to contact for traffic signal issues or traffic roadway issue, potholes, graffiti, illegal dumping. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can select. And then the key thing that it does is that it sends it to the right section of the department. So you don't have to, you heard of the stories about people calling one and they get transferred into 10 different departments. By the time they get to the right person, they'll probably are fed up with it. We used to hear that type of calls in the past, right? But now with all the technology moving through everything online these days, and we also have, this is on a mobile application called Mobile Citizen, which people in this county have downloaded, because 90% of our service requests, we get them through this method now. There's not many people calling, and it's a lot easier to Google and find resources, correct places where they need to complain, and And this information comes right to us. Like I said, it also goes to, we have 3 different maintenance yards because our county is pretty large. It's divided into 3 different maintenance yards. So depending on the location that they're putting the information in, the software, the GIS part is identifies, okay, this belongs to the south yard or the west yard or the east yard. And then it sends the information to them directly. So minute the service request is submitted, it's going into the right department for them to look at it. Most of the service requests are handled, within 1 to 3 days. There are some that require engineering studies and things like that that could take some time. Otherwise, the information comes in very handy because now we are able to look at them instantly. And then if there's already a crew working in that area, we'll be able to call them. So they'll be able to take care of it. On the traffic signal side, similarly, it's, we get complaints or street lights, we address them as soon as possible. The other thing that I want to talk about with this feature is that, again, the county, we only maintain and operate the unincorporated areas. So we don't do San Jose City of San Jose streets or Santa Clara streets or Sunnyvale streets. So as a user, as a customer, you probably don't know exactly where it belongs, who it belongs to. So this application is pretty much county-wide, but let's say you're in Sunnyvale, you try to click on pothole, you put in an address that belongs to Sunnyvale, but then this software will tell you, based on our jurisdiction layer, it checks it and says, okay, this actually belongs to Sunnyvale, for example. And then it also provides you a link for the user to say, you can click on this link and then go ahead and report it there. So that's a feature that was added, and it was helpful because initially when we launched it, we were getting a lot of other jurisdiction inquiries. So as a result, we were able to build this intelligence in so that it tells the user, hey, this intersection actually belongs to Sunnyvale and Santa Clara. Believe me, I've worked here 30 years. I still want to, double check every time because it's hard to figure out whether this intersection is a city. Sometimes it's half street is city, sometimes half is county. So the jurisdiction boundaries are pretty difficult. So it's good to have a software like this that will take that, take a first stab at, letting you know this is the correct city that you need to submit with. So it's been very helpful. And then this is the Mobile Citizen app. You could download that from App Store or from, if you're on the Android, both systems are covered. So here is another screenshot of how the information looks like. So you first select the Santa Clara County because this Mobile Citizen is available for other cities as well. So once you select Santa Clara County, once you have your, we want you to register. So that way the advantage is that you're able to get back, we can get back to you when we complete the work order. So if you submit anonymously, you will not be able to get notifications. But if you have an account already created, so the advantage with that is that every time your work order is worked on, and let's say we complete it, it automatically sends you a message saying that your submitted work request has been completed and here is the status. If you want that information, then you need to make sure you register. So the next step is that, once you log in, you'll be able to select type of service request that you need, whether it's tree maintenance or roadway maintenance, pothole, I showed you in the previous slide. So you select all that, and then you can also submit with pictures. If you're doing this on a phone, you could do it also on the PC, but if you're doing it on a phone, you can, take pictures and submit it, which will be a lot easier for us to, look at, because we know exactly what you're saying. Sometimes the descriptions can be misleading, so it's better to always include some pictures if you have them. If you have already taken pictures and then you have come home and you're trying to do this at home, you could then still submit those pictures by going through your gallery and selecting the certain pictures. So this location is important. The next information on the fourth step, this is very important because this is where our jurisdiction layer check happens. If you put in the proper address, we'll be able to detect this exactly which city it belongs to. If it's a county, then you'll be able to actually submit the work request. And we made that not a hard stop in case if it's a Sunnyvale or a Santa Clara one, you know, we still wanted you to submit it because some people will say, well, now I don't want to go to their site and then start doing all these over again. So we accept the submittal, but then what happens is that then on our end, we take a look at that and say, okay, this belongs to Sunnyvale, and we will forward it to this particular city. I'm just picking Sunnyvale, but any city in the county is fine. The system's capable of handling, but it's a lot of overload on us if everybody submits to, you know, but it's better to go through the jurisdiction that you want to submit. A link will be provided for you, and then it'll be easy for you to click on that, and then, you know, you have all of the information, so you'll be able to submit that. This has been a very, very useful tool for us. So like I said, 90% of our trouble call and the service request comes through this. And you know, it makes it a lot easier because the system, once it's on the system, the person that's looking at this, let's say our superintendent in the yard is looking at the service request, he'll be able to convert that into work order depending on the type of work that's requested, you know, what's happening in the current workforce. If there is any room available, they'll be able to convert that into work order same day. And then most likely that gets done within a day or two. So, and then again, if you put in your information, your email address, you get a reply back saying that your work order was completed. Okay, and then this is kind of the view that we are able to look at, like where the service requests were all submitted. And then on the left-hand side, you'll be able, you know, these are all the work requests that have come in, and then what the status is. And then we you know, diligently monitor to make sure, you know, are these in work? If these are new, how long it's been in that status. And then, like I said, some requests take time. You know, if somebody requests a stop sign through the system, you know, it may take 3 to 6 months because we have to collect new data as part of the process. We have to study the traffic engineering study has to occur and see if this, you know, stop sign is warranted based on the current traffic conditions. And then if so, it has to go to our board of supervisor for approval of stop sign installation. So that itself will take about 2 months. So things can take some time, but the most of the issues that you guys submit will be handled within a day or two. And this is another view of, you know, how we're able to see it on the map, exactly which locations where we have issues. So it'll be a lot easier for the superintendent to see, okay, where our requests are, and then how many crews that they have dispatched into this area so they can, you know, clear all of these at once. Okay, then moving on to the traffic cameras online. This is a, you know, we didn't have this before. So the thought process was to make all our cameras at our signalized intersections. We have cameras for each of the directions. So one for each direction. For example, this is looking at northbound, this is looking at eastbound view, this is looking at westbound view, this is looking at southbound view. In the middle, you know, this one is selected to make it larger. And then you can also click on this, this view changes, the middle one changes. It gives you a bigger view of the intersection. So we have these cameras for traffic monitoring purposes and also collecting traffic data like traffic volume. So we can determine how much traffic there is on, for example, in this case, Lawrence Expressway. If you look at Lawrence Expressway, we have over 20 plus signals on Lawrence Expressway. Our goal is to, you know, this is all, even though it's in multiple different cities, this expressway is solely maintained by the county. And so there is a lot of traffic on Lawrence Expressway or Santa Ma's, all these expressways, because all the businesses are here. All the homes are here. People commute every morning. So we need to keep this, expressway running smoothly with good coordination between the signals. If you had, 5 different cities here taking this arterial, it would be 5 different types of timing. It will not be, connected with each other, things of that sort. But all that is resolved because one agency, the county, maintains and manages this whole expressway. Where I was going with this is that, as part of that, cameras were installed to monitor. So, we can, track the flow of traffic and make some signal timing adjustments. We could do that remotely. Then we wanted to put these out to public because we used to get requests about, I see a camera on top of the traffic signal. Can we get it? By the way, I want to let you know, we do not record any of the camera footings. We get a lot of requests about that. If there's a collision, they would want to see the video, but unfortunately, we do not record it. It's only meant for us to watch it live. So with this project, using our GIS, we were able to put all the intersections on the GIS map. Again, this was all done internally with our GIS team. So if you click on one of these locations, in a real map, you will actually, these are selectable. So when you move over the mouse on this blue dot, you'll be able to select that intersection or move to another location to select the camera. Once you select that intersection, then you get this view on the left. Basically, in this case, Williams was this map. Once you zoom in, these square dots turn into actual 4 cameras that we have at this intersection. But you don't have to be at this level to get the views. So when you get to this map, at this level itself, you'll be able to select that intersection. Then you get this page, basically this map, right on top of over here. In this scale, we zoomed in enough so that you could see there are 4 cameras at that intersection. So you can move around and take a look at it. This is a low resolution feed because this is on the web. So obviously we cannot put high resolution feed. And with our cameras, you're not going to be able to identify the license plate or who the driver is or anything like that, because these are low resolution cameras. The purpose of these cameras was for us to monitor traffic, see if there's a traffic that's not getting served, things like that. When we get a call, we'll be able to bring up this intersection. The other thing I want to point out is that this came in very handy because during COVID, when everything was locked down, but we still had traffic issues and we couldn't go to work, but we had to still, manage and monitor traffic. Luckily, we had remote access to all our traffic signals, and we were able to also because of these cameras online, which you can also look at today by just going to countyroads.org and then click on the camera buttons, you'll be able to get to this page, and you can actually view some of these cameras online today. So during COVID, we were able to monitor traffic from here. Otherwise, we have a very nice system inside. It's called Traffic Operations Center. We have large screen displays, and we'll be able to bring in many different videos, feed from several different intersections. If we're monitoring Lawrence Expressway, for example, for coordination purposes, we'll be able to bring most of the cameras on that in that room. But online, we are limited to one intersection at a time. But this was a godsend because we were still able to manage and keep our traffic flowing, even though we were kind of forced to work remotely at that point. So again, this was all built by our GIS team. And then very quickly, this is probably my last slide. This is a little bit dated information. We had the same map you saw in the previous slide, how we used it for the cameras. So using the same map, we had already put the intersections on. And then one thing we were collecting the data was about the traffic speed on the expressways. Again, our thinking is that any data that we have, we want to publish outside into the public so that public will be able to see as well. Well, congestion map is one of them, which, most people use Google and Waze. So I don't think we have many hits, but we were able to still put the congestion map online. But the information that we put out here is that travel time in minutes, because one of the things I was struggling with in order to keep our traffic moving was that we had a lot of businesses here, right? So they all pretty much all get like 5 p.m. They all leave home around 5 p.m. So it was reaching capacity. For that hour, the expressway was not operating very well. So this is, again, I'm going back, this was probably done 7-8 years ago, before Google and Waze was able to put out on their map what the travel time looks like, right? So our thought process was, if we share this with all the companies here, then they can see if they were to pick two intersections. Let's say they work in this area near Sandia, they select that intersection and their home is, let's say, or maybe they're here, but they exit at Mitty or Moore Park. So they select the second intersection. By selecting the first and the second, and if their travel is northbound or southbound, which they can pick, and then it'll tell you what the travel time is now based on current travel time. And then it'll also tell you in 15 minutes, we are predicting a travel time based on how the current traffic is flowing compared to the historical average that we have. So, we predict what the travel time is going to look like in 15 minutes. And then we were posting that out. So with the thought that, we're able to get maybe 5 or 10% of the people to move out of the 5 o'clock time frame so that we could still keep the traffic flowing. Because when everybody gets on at 5, it was just so congested that it was bottleneck bumper to bumper traffic, right? So, signals can only do so much. When you exceed capacity, you don't get that flow that you want. So our thought was to move 5 to 10% of the people outside of the peak hours by giving them information like, if you leave now, if it's 4:40 and you want to leave now, it'll tell you currently what the time is to reach your destination, and then in 15 minutes what it would take. That was the thought process, but then COVID, did the magic. And I think now we're not back 100% before pre-COVID as far as traffic is concerned, but we're there. On some of the expressways, we're close to 100%. Some of the expressway, we're still at around 80 to 85% of the traffic. So, but this was just an application built, pre-COVID in order to get in that direction so that people start looking at their travel time before just leaving work. With that, I'll stop here. Those are the 3 applications I wanted to share. Like I said, we have hundreds of other applications that we use GIS for, but these are some of the things maybe you may not have looked at. So we just picked those up for presentation here. So Yoko, I'll be turning this back to you.
Thank you, Ananth. We have several questions. So the first question, is this application specific to Rosen Airport, or can it be tailored for programs such as clean water, weed abatement, etc.? And I believe this question is related with the second application, which is a MainStar, Mobile Citizens MainStar. Michael, if you are asking about the first app, let me know.
Yeah, so the mobile citizen, it all depends on whether let's say you're talking about water district or valley water. Are they using a system like this? They're certainly capable of using a system like this. I don't know whether they are, but if we get a request that's something that, where we cannot transfer electronically, we would still, copy and paste some of the comments we get from here into the right agency. But again, like I said, we don't want to do too much of that because then it'll become a big overhead on our department to handle it. But the idea is that this type of service is definitely useful. And I don't know exactly whether those agencies are using exactly this MainStar, but they may be a mobile citizen. I mean, they may be using something similar. So using the GIS.
Okay, I guess another few questions related with the Mobile Citizens app. What's the difference between MainStar versus another government agency app similar to this? For example, San Jose 311. And I guess the next question also also related with that. Does San Jose 311 plan on integrating this mobile citizen app into its own crowdsourcing system? I think it would be pretty useful as someone who lives in San Jose.
Yeah, I think Mainstar is a company that caters for all these government agencies. So they have a large customer pool, government agencies using Mainstar. Again, individual cities may have selected, but they're all similar. The interface will be something similar. In this case, that's something unique we're doing. Was the reason I put this out is because we are able to check the jurisdiction and then determine which jurisdictions in the county it belongs to. That was something that we were able to customize it with our GIS team here. So we wanted to share that information. So how GIS was helpful in locating that particular request and identifying which agency it goes to. So whether it's 311 or integrated, with other cities, we do have common map that we all use, but there may be slightly different, but the idea is the same. So if that works for San Jose, maybe because that's integrated with their system better. Here for us, this system works directly with our, Mainstar is our tool where we use that for submitting work orders to our crew to go clean up or do road work or put signs out or look at a trouble call in a signal. All of that is handled on the Mainstar side. This mobile citizen takes the request from public and then integrates into that system. So hopefully that explains it to you. It's just the integration, and that can be done various ways, and depends on which city, what their system looks like and what is their liking. So we happen to like Mainstar.
Thank you. Another question related with a mobile citizen. Do you still require users to create an account in order to submit, or did you, or did it change recently?
We still want you to have an account on our system so that we could get back to you to say what is the status on your request. If you don't put in if you don't have an account, if you submit anonymously, then you'll miss out on that information, because you could submit and you will never know what happened, right? Even though the information will still come to us, but we won't be able to, reach out back to you unless you put something in your comment, your email address or a phone number. Then, when the work order is complete, then before we close it, we make sure that we notify the respondent that your work order, and also you can track it. If it's taking too long, it'll tell you what happened with the work order system. So you will have a unique number. Let's see, it's not in the screen, but for example, like this WR, this number is very unique to your request. And that number is sent back to you when you first create the work order. You get an email saying that your work request was sent, and here is your work order work request number. And if you reference that in the future, when you reach out to us and say, hey, I submitted this work request, haven't seen any action, so that way we can trace it back to that particular work request and let you know what exactly happened. So that's the advantage where you get by signing up. But we're not looking at who submitted the work order or anything. It's just the system is automatically sending you these automatic messages about your work request is complete, your work request was transferred to somebody else. All of that information, the system sending it out to you. But if we need to reach you, because if the information is not clear, sometimes people, put some information in and they don't give us full details. At that point, at least we have a chance to reach back and say, hey, we didn't understand this. Can you expand on it? And there you go. By doing that, you're now able to communicate more information with us, and we could then resolve the issue.
Thank you. Okay, I guess last question was the traffic camera online tools for public consumption. And actually this question was already being answered, and the answer was yes. And a link is also posted on the chat as well for those folks who would like to access this traffic camera app.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Give
right.
it a try.